Hi, I'm Alice, and let's talk about how to boost your happiness levels. First, let's define happiness. Now, everyone defines happiness differently. For our talk today, I define happiness as an internal sense of contentment, an internal sense of peace. It doesn't mean that you're walking around with a smile on your face all the time, that you're jumping around always excited, but internally there's a sense of contentment. Happiness is certainly not dependent upon your external circumstances, and it's not dependent upon people. Otherwise, we would be emotionally unstable, constantly up and down like a yo yo, emotionally speaking. So, we want to look to basing our happiness on how we are emotionally, our internal emotions. And so when I talk about that sense of contentment, it's being at peace. It's not having any sense of restlessness internally. And I do make a distinction between contentment and satisfaction. So you can be content, but not necessarily satisfied with your life, for example. Let's say you're making, and this is just an oversimplified example, you are making $30,000 a year. You are not satisfied with making $30,000 a year. Your goal is to make, let's say, $60,000 a year. So you can still be at a place of contentment making the $30,000 a year, an amount that you're not satisfied with, but you are at peace knowing that you have established steps that you're working towards, that you have goals that you're moving towards that will help you achieve your goal of the $60,000 a year. And so, just to make that distinction between contentment and satisfaction, those are two very different components. So, again, happiness is a sense of internal contentment that is not based on external circumstances, understanding that life is going to always happen. There will always be loss, tragedy, issues will come up. Life is full of problems. Life is going to happen. And so, if we're constantly basing our happiness upon external circumstances, there is no emotional stability in that, right? So you want to be sure that you are hanging your hat on where are you internally, establishing a sense of contentment. So we'll talk about a few ways of how to go about doing that. Now, we also have to acknowledge that everyone has a different baseline of happiness, right? And that looks different for everyone. But please understand that it is possible for you to raise your baseline level of happiness. Studies have shown that it is possible to permanently raise your baseline level in regards to your happiness. So it is possible. It does take a concerted effort to do so over an extended period of time, but it is possible. All right. Now, I do also want to differentiate between happiness and pleasure. And again, this is how I define it. So, happiness is not, as I define it, pleasure. So, there are moments of pleasure that bring us this quick burst of happiness. For example, now I love chocolate. I love chocolate ice cream. I will often, yeah, oftentimes I'll buy a pint of ice cream, although I shouldn't. But buying a pint of fudge brownie Ben and Jerry's ice cream is heavenly to me. And so that brings me a quick moment of pleasure, or a chocolate chip cookie for me because I love chocolate chip cookies. That gives me a burst of pleasure momentarily. It's very short term. For someone else, it may be, I don't know, going to the movies or eating your favorite meal. That's a brief moment of pleasure that doesn't necessarily bring you a long term effect of happiness. So, just so that you see the difference, when we're talking about happiness, we're talking about an internal sense of contentment. Pleasure tends to be more external. Now, when we talk about happiness, ways to boost your happiness essentially is a way of increasing your positive emotions. And when I talk about positive emotions, I do mean emotions such as gratitude, joy, love, hope, inspiration, all of those positive emotions. And so, how can we boost those positive emotions through a few exercises, which I'm going to share with you now? First, one way of boosting your happiness level is through acts of kindness. Basically, it is extending yourself to others, making a contribution to someone else, stepping outside of yourself. Many times, we can very easily increase our anxiety levels and increase our symptoms of depression if we are always staying in our heads and always consuming ourselves and with our issues. However, if we just take moments to, in a very simple way, it doesn't have to be anything glamorous, fancy, or dramatic. Just stepping outside of ourselves and doing something, an act of kindness for someone else, you really be surprised of how much of a positive impact it has on you and in increasing your positive emotions. So, an act of kindness really has a long lasting effect of boosting our happiness level. Um, a simple thing you can do is call a friend, someone that you haven't spoken with in a long time, or a friend that you know could possibly, use some positive or encouraging words from you. Maybe it's just giving someone a big hug that you know is really struggling with something, or maybe it's just buying a card, a 99 cents card, and offer up a words of "I'm thinking of you" and hand the card over to a friend. Just something very simple. Maybe it is an act of generosity, taking someone out to dinner, and letting them know that you appreciate them. Just finding those small gestures in small ways to let someone know that, hey, you matter. Hey, I'm thinking about you. Hey, I love you. Small acts of gestures, small acts of kindness, they go a long way. So not only are you benefiting others, but you're also boosting your own positive emotions, ultimately benefiting yourself as well. Another way of boosting your positive emotions, increasing your positive emotions, is exercising your signature strengths. What are those things that you're really good at doing, and spending more time exercising those strengths? Now, you also have what's called character strengths, and those tend to be strengths that are more internal. For example, you could have a love of learning. Maybe it's humor. You love to laugh. You love to make others laugh. It could be a sense of wisdom. You love giving advice to others. It's a whole list of things. So there is a group of psychologists that really lead the way on positive psychology, all things positive psychology. And they cataloged a list of 24 traits that are termed character strengths. And I'll give you the link down below, um, for you to be able to take a strengths test. It's completely free, and you'll take a quick test. It's like it takes maybe a minute or two to take it, and then that'll help you to identify what your character strengths are. But in regards to boosting your happiness level, if we exercise our strengths, and in this case, we're talking about really character strengths, and finding ways to use more of your strengths can help boost happiness levels as well. So not just your character strengths, but also things that you enjoy doing, your skills. Let's say you love to organize. If you find that strength really energizes you, it really makes you feel good, that's a great way of boosting your happiness. So if you are an organizer by nature and it's something that really just gets you going, find ways to organize. Maybe once a week, find a way to use that strength, since it energizes you and it really makes you feel good about yourself. It's a way of affirming yourself, affirming um, how you see yourself, your self image, and your self concept as well. All right, so practice acts of kindness, exercise your signature strengths, and also engage in meaningful activities as well. What matters most to you? So, a meaningful activity can be spending quality time with your children, spending quality time with your spouse or friends that you really care about. Um, doing things for others. Maybe you love reading books to children. Just find those things that really matter most to you. It could be cleaning up your house, it could be cooking dinner for someone, and that can also be termed as an act of kindness as well. But find those things that are meaningful for you. It's a way of increasing your connectedness to others, and also in how you see yourself as well. Now, here's a bonus. This is a fourth one: exercise. Physically exercise, getting workouts in, physical activity. We cannot get away from exercising. It is a quick way of boosting your happiness level, whether it's bike riding, walking, running, lifting weights. Find what you enjoy doing physically. There are long term benefits, of course, along with health benefits with exercising. So, practice an act of kindness, find meaningful activities to get into, exercise your signature strengths or your character strengths, and get some exercise. Boost your happiness level. It is possible, but again, it takes a concerted effort. That means have to be very intentional about doing it. I encourage you to find, at least start small. I'm big on baby steps. So start small, maybe once or twice a week. Find a way to boost your happiness level and then increase your frequency over time. You can do it, and I'll see you next time.